Hello and welcome to another edition of my Words of Shakespeare review series, where I go out and about my outings throughout my neck of roots in the South Auckland region, Newcastle, Sydney and abroad, and I give a visual review of my adventures. On the 25th of July 2026, Mum and I headed down to Engie Stadium at Sydney Olympic Park to witness the 33rd Sydney Derby, the AFL rivalry between the GWS Sydney Giants and the team I've proudly supported for the past 15 years, the Sydney Swans. Ever since the Giants joined the AFL in 2012, the Sydney Derby has become one of the league's biggest rivalries, with two clashes every season, one at the Sydney Cricket Ground and one at Engie Stadium. Normally, I attend these games with my older cousin, who has been a die-hard Giant supporter since day one, and believe me, we give each other plenty of friendly sledging before, during, and after every derby. The atmosphere at Engie Stadium was absolutely electric. I managed to grab some great last-minute seats right near the Sydney Swans cheer squad, so I got to hear the famous Sydney chant ringing around the stadium all night. The seats gave us an excellent review of this action, from spectacular marks to booming set shot goals and every big tackle in between. And judging by the crowd, there were definitely far more Swan supporters than Giants fans in attendance. That I suppose that's what happens when your club has called Sydney home for nearly 45 years. Ever since relocating from South Melbourne ahead of the 1982 VFL season. One thing I really enjoyed was one of the Giants' newer match day traditions. Whenever a Giants player kicked a goal, their own personalised goal song played throughout the stadium. For example, Jake Stringer's goal song was Man I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain, which honestly had me laughing. The Brisbane Lions first introduced this concept inspired by walk-on music in Major League Baseball. North Melbourne later adopted it, the Melbourne Demons later adopted it, and now the Giants have jumped on board as well. It definitely adds a bit of fun and personality to the game day experience. Now, as much as I enjoyed the evening, there were a few negatives. The seating at Engie Stadium can feel very cramped, especially when people are constantly getting up and down throughout the match. The queues for food and drinks are also incredibly long, and by half-time, several outlets had already run out of a bowl of water and even Diet Coke. It's one of the reasons I still prefer the Sydney Cricket Ground over the Giants' home grounds. Although, to be fair, Engie Stadium is still fantastic during the Sydney Royal Easter show, with all of its equestrian events and entertainment. Now then, let's talk about the football. The Sydney Swans absolutely dominated the contest. Charlie Curnow was sensational, finishing with 4 goals. I tell you what, he has turned out to be one of the best investments the Bloods have ever made. One moment that had me laughing though was when Charlie received 2 separate 50-metre penalties against Giants defender Jalen Verde, only to hit the goalpost from resulting set shots, which handed the Giants a single behind. Talk about making life difficult for yourself. Billy Cootie made a successful return from injury, kicking 2 goals. James Rowe-Bonnan and Tommy Papley also finished with 2 majors each. Logan McDonald contributed 3 goals, while veteran ruckman and what I like to call the ruck god, Brodie Grundy, produced one of the highlights of the first quarter by taking a strong mark and immediately converting a goal. Local Newcastle product Isaac Heaney got on the scoreboard, along with a human box office himself, Chad Warner. To cut a 4-quarter game of Aussie rules short, despite a spiritual late fight back from the Orange Tsunami, the Swans were simply too good. The final score, Sydney 139, GWS and Sydney 88. A convincing 51-point victory. One hilarious moment happened during the final quarter when somebody accidentally activated a fire alarm inside the venue. The entire crowd looked completely confused, although I suppose the Swans were absolutely setting the Giants on fire that night. At the conclusion of the derby, the Kirk Ward Medal was awarded to Errol Goulden after an outstanding performance featuring 400 disposals, 7 clearances, and over 1,000 metres gained. Simply phenomenal. One of my favourite parts of the day was showing the experience of fellow Swan supporters, including a lovely elderly couple from the Central Coast. And of course, I couldn't resist giving my cuz a little bit of friendly sledging, especially after he left the stadium early in the 4th quarter, once it became obvious the Giants were coming back. That also meant I got to proudly belt out cheer, cheer, the red and the white after the final siren. Sorry mate, but the Swannies remain the true kings of the harbour city. And this is a little poetic that after the Giants ended our season last year, the Bloods may have returned the favour by putting a serious dent in theirs. In closing, this was easily one of the most enjoyable Swans games I attended this season. There are still a few home and away matches left, and who knows, I might squeeze another game before September. Now that the Swans have got the season back on track and stamped their ticket towards the finals, I'm definitely excited where this team can go. Only time will tell, so stay tuned. I give the 33rd Sydney Derby a solid 7.3 out of 10. This has been another edition of Words of Shakespeare. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more reviews and adventures in the future. Stay amazing, happy trails, and cheered around the white, your boy KJ.